Have you ever played a game, got into it, thought it was okay, but never went back to the game, and then maybe a month or two later, maybe even 6 months later, you try it again and you just get really locked in, just absolutely love the game. It becomes one of those games that you basically play until you beat it, and even then, you're like, man, I kind of wish I could go back to that world and experience more. Well, for me, that has totally happened recently with a game called High on Life. The one question that I did have afterwards, though, was, well, how come it didn't stick that first time? And honestly, I don't know why. There was only one difference, and that is the first time I played it, it was on the Xbox. Second time was on the Switch 2. Handheld being the only major difference I could really see. Hell, I would even argue that the Xbox had better performance at times. Not that the Switch 2 was inferior in hardly any noticeable ways, but there was a couple things that stand out a little bit, but nothing too major. Either way, let's talk about High on Life for the Nintendo Switch 2. Before we get into that though, please hit that like and subscribe button, help this channel grow. It means the world to me that you guys are watching and liking and all of that stuff and commenting. But on that note, I do have to throw a little apology out to anyone who has commented, or even some of the other YouTubers that I watch that happen to watch my channel. I have had an incredibly busy, say 4 days here from Friday to Monday. It has been insane, with 2 hospital trips for my daughter, my wife being hospitalized, being my son's homeschool teacher, and he is learning algebra right now, and we all know algebra sucks. So it's just been a really busy 4 or 5 days. This video, in fact, was meant to come out this weekend. That's how far behind I am. And if anyone cares, towards the end, I'll do like an update on my wife and let you guys know what's up with that. But let's get into High on Life. So High on Life is a linear first-person shooter. Now, not to say that you are stuck on one single track, but there are certain targets that you have to go after, certain bad guys, and you could do certain side quests that do open the game up a little bit, but for the most part, you are just staying on track, hunting down these enemies. Who are these enemies? Well, they are aliens who invaded Earth. And when I say invade, I mean more like enslaved and destroyed. Like, it's so bad that you had to warp your house to a different planet. Essentially what happens is you find a talking gun by the name of Kenny, and luckily enough, Kenny tells you where to find a warp drive. You and your sister grab this warp drive, put it in the microwave essentially, and warp to a completely different planet. Kenny sort of guides you from here on how to get back at these enemies, who is known as the G3. They happen to be part of this intergalactic drug ring, whose main substance at the time is, well, human. Apparently, if you smoke human, you can have a psychedelic experience, according to the game anyway. But this is where the game really takes off, in my opinion, and where it gets really good. You see, Kenny knows where you guys are at. You're at this alien world, and it's a nice big hub city, a lot of stuff going on. But Kenny's like, hey, we should meet up with this bounty hunter named Gene, and he can help us. Long story short, Gene basically isn't a bounty hunter anymore, but he gives you his bounty suit, so you become a bounty hunter. And this is honestly where the game gets really fun, because you're then able to start to build skills and abilities. Also have all these bounty hunter perks like jetpack and magnetic boots. All sorts of cool stuff happens, as well as getting different guns and stuff like that. And so from here, the story sort of just writes itself as almost formulaic, but a really good formula, where essentially you just take on bounties, and these bounties happen to be high-ranking members of G3. So you're getting money, you're getting weapons, at the same time you're gaining ground on these criminal aliens who are destroying Earth. While we're talking about the story, though, we do have to talk about the humor. Now, this is from the team that made Rick and Morty, and Morty actually does the voices for a lot of the guns and a lot of different characters. Some people are gonna absolutely hate this humor and find it way too crude. For me, I found the game hilarious. The one thing, though, that many people said, even when the game launched, and it's still sort of an issue, is there's a lot of dialogue, like an over amount of dialogue, and in many ways, they do it as a bit, but it at times can be a bit much, and you're just kind of like, okay, shut up, let's move on. I know what I want to do, I want to keep going. But I guess the only saving grace is that the dialogue is actually funny, so it's sort of a little bit of a payoff. But at the end of the day, maybe they shortchange themselves a little bit on actual game and combat design, because one of the things that you want to get back to is the combat. The combat is really fast-paced and a lot of fun. I don't believe I'm being hyperbolic when I say this, but this game reminds me of like Doom, that fast-paced gunplay. And the cool thing is you have different guns that have different abilities. So for the most part, yeah, the guns all just shoot, but then they have a second ability that can do things like shoot out these giant saw blades that can just bounce around the entire entire room, hacking up enemies, and they can actually stick into the walls and you can climb on them for more exploration, and sometimes you just have to for the platforming. But what's notable is that each gun has a couple abilities with multiple uses. One of my favorite is called Creature, and he essentially gives birth to these little versions of him that go flying around the screen. They can attack enemies, they can actually go into their brain and control them for a little bit, but they're also incredibly important for like unlocking doors. There's another gun that has a time stop ability with it, and even though that's incredibly useful, the other thing I find really interesting with that gun specifically is sort of an SMG, but in the times when you really need to reach out and touch somebody, like if there's a sniper that is far away and behind cover, she can power up her shot and it'll fly through anything. And so I think the fact that all of the guns have multiple uses really keep that rotation going, and it doesn't really ever make you rely too much on just one gun, and it all really just keeps the game incredibly fast paced. By the way, did I mention that the guns are living creatures? Yeah, I wasn't just calling them he or she because I based them off of some sort of, I don't know, internal thought that I had about their gender. No, they are living creatures, which is also kind of cool. But at the same time, it's often these guns that have the too much dialogue situation going on, where it's kind of funny and it's cool, but at the same time, you kind of just want them to shut up a little bit. You can actually toggle that on and off. I didn't mess with it too much because it wasn't that overwhelming. I've heard some reviews where people said like the game was just unplayable because of how often the guns are talking and how much they talk, but I don't know, for me it didn't affect me that much, and again, I found the humor to be pretty funny, so I was okay with it. It's just definitely one of those games that you don't want to play in front of your kids. And I know for the Nintendo Switch 2 specifically, one of the big concerns that people had was going to be the performance, and let me just say this, for the most part this game performs incredibly well. It also looks really good on the Switch 2 as well, but I will say that I did discover a few moments where there was like a little bit of an issue, a performance issue, just slightly, but one of them is going through the warps. So there's these warp gates that pop up, and that's sort of like your ability to fast travel. When you're going through that, sometimes you'll get like a little bit of a lag. It's just kind of a weird little thing. Also, one of the abilities that you get later on in the game is this ability to like run and then slide, and if you have extra boosters and things like that, you can actually slide pretty far. And I was kind of experimenting with exactly how much I could do, and so I was sliding in between different areas, and where there would usually be like a checkpoint, I ended up sort of outpacing the checkpoint, so then it caused it to like load for just a half a second or so. It wasn't like a big deal or anything. And those two things are honestly the only difference I noticed between the Switch 2 version and the Xbox Series X version. So that really speaks a lot to it. I'm sure if I was to hold it under a microscope, it wouldn't look exactly the same, but it does look really good. I really can't overstate how impressed I was with the graphics in this game. And this is going to sound really controversial, but I'm gonna be honest, this is one of my favorite Switch 2 games I've played. Like, I've played a lot of Switch 2 games, and yeah, this one definitely cracks the top 5 at least, if not even higher. Like, it's just a lot of fun, and it's only $40, which I just think is a good price for it. What's funny about that is actually my favorite Switch 2 games, I'm pretty sure like my top 3 favorite Switch 2 games are all under $50 a piece. In fact, I believe they're all $40 actually, because yeah, you have High on Life, you have Path of the Goddess, and Bravely Default. Those are all 40, or Bravely Default might even be 29. I'm not sure, but yeah, like they're my 3 favorite Switch 2 games right now. And yeah, so High on Life is just one of those other ones that's kind of a budget price, but I think is a really great game. And so, honest opinion here, if I was going to give it a score, I would give it an 8.5 out of 10, and honestly, I kind of want to give it a higher score. The only thing that keeps it down is it is only about 10 to 15 hours, but honestly, I'm just really glad that I took the time to play it again, and I don't even know why I bought it, because I remember my experience with the Xbox and playing it and thinking like, oh, this is an okay game, but for some reason I just saw it was on the Switch 2 and I automatically bought it. I'm really glad I did, because just sort of a hidden gem for me, if you will. But let me know what your thoughts are down below. Have you played High on Life? Is this one you're interested in? You not have a Switch 2 yet? Are you gonna get a Switch 2, or are you still kind of torn on it? No, anything and everything down below is much appreciated. All right, just a quick update. So this weekend, my wife went to the county fair kind of thing, and then I got a call that she was being hospitalized because she basically fainted. Well, we don't actually know what happened, which is really messed up. They think it could have been like a gallstone attack or something, but like all of her vitals were normal and she's back home now. In fact, she went to work today, so I don't really know what happened. I know she's got like more follow-ups and stuff like that. She got more blood work to get done, and but yeah, they did like an EKG, they did a CT scan, they did all sorts of stuff. I think we figured out that without our insurance, it would cost about $26,000, all the things that they did, and she was completely clear on all of them. So I don't know. I guess we'll find out in the future, and it could have, like I told her, it could have just been like a crazy panic attack. Like that kind of stuff just happens sometimes, but I don't know. I just thought I would let you guys know since I did bring it up in the beginning. But anyway, I love each and every one of you. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.